humanity is watching for this century, and it's our pleasure to invite Dr. Aun to the stage. My special pleasure to invite Dr. ΟւΓΙΓ for moderating of this session. Dr. ΟւΓΙΓ is the director of the Institute of Armenian Studies in Southern California University and founder and the first director of ԵΡԻՏԱՍԱՐԴՆԵՐԻ Foundation, and for many years she was serving as an advisor to the Foreign Minister of Armenia. Dr. ΟւΓΙΓ is welcome. Welcome to the stage. And I'm giving the floor to Sami. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, President Dr. The advantage of being at a university, you get honorary degrees. I wish I had a doctorate. I don't. So those of you, if you want one, the time is now. Thank you for this opportunity. On behalf of the ΑՎΡΟΡΑ Humanitarian Initiative, I want to welcome Mr. Aung and welcome all of you for what I think is going to be a very unusual conversation. You know that the ΑՎΡΟΡΑ Prize has now been around for 3 years. The first year, the laureate, we try not to use the word winner, because when you're comparing individuals like Mr. Aung, who do incredible, indescribable work every single day, how do you say this one is a winner and that one is not? So we call them laureates, ԴԱՓՆԵԿՐΙ. The laureate the first year was ՄΡՑԱՆԱԿԻ from Burundi, who has in her lifetime of doing humanitarian work saved over 30,000 children. The second year was Dr. Tom Katina, originally from the United States, who lives in Sudan, in the Nuba Mountains, and he is the only surgeon in a region of war within 500 miles. So all he does all day, every day, is save lives. And this year, we have Mr. Aung, who lives in Myanmar, or Burma, and is part of an ethnic minority, the Rohingya, who are persecuted. And I'm describing the work of these three people very, very simply, without big adjectives and big adverbs. Huge work, saving desperate people. But you can imagine, you saw, this isn't everybody's everyday work. And I have to say that in this case, with this laureate, I think that as an Armenian, I'm looking in the mirror. And let me tell you why, and I think you will agree with me. Burma, Myanmar, is a country of 50-something million people with 135 ethnic groups, with 5-6 religions. And the majority culture does not accept this minority, partly because of their religion, certainly, and I have no idea what other reasons, and we're going to try to understand. They're being deported. The world knows, the world is watching. This isn't the first time I've heard of the Rohingya. The world is watching, and yet the disaster goes on. If If that doesn't remind you of us, then I haven't told the story very well. And so what we're going to do today is almost a lesson in how the representative, the very brave, courageous, experienced representative of a very small country at the other end of the world is going to share with us his life, his experiences, his trauma, his cause, and his expectations of us. Some of us, who are a little bit older than most of you, have been doing this for a very long time about Armenians. Not as brave as he is, but the same thing. Little known people, a language nobody understands, at the other end of the world, where the heck is Armenia? And we try to do the same thing. So this is a lesson for us in how hard it is to do what we all try to do when we're looking for equality, fairness, justice in the world. That's a long way of introducing the topic, so thank you again. Mr. Ong, tell us how old you are. How old are you?
Thank you. My age is now 78.
And how many of those years have you spent in prison?
In 1986 to 1988, I was under trial for 2 years. In 1988, there was a strike across the country. All of the Myanmar was also the government put down by the public. General Numi, dictator Numi, was also pulled down by the citizen in 1998. During this period, the prison in Sitwe was also the prisoners broke the prison, but I cannot go out from the prison. At that time, no government was there, so Bar Council, all the lawyers discussed, and also they formed a committee to release all the prisoners at that when some prisoners cannot go out. So the Bar Council, this committee came to in the prison. All the staff of the prison was fled. They came and also they released me. During these days, I was sick. I can join with my families. At the time, my sons were very young. So then, after a few days, General Somo took the power because there was no government. And taking the power, General Somo announced that he wanted to make the country democratic one. Then he announced that everybody can form political parties. So some of the colleagues, lawyers in Yangon, Rohingya lawyers, they invite me to go there to join with them to form a political party. So I went to Yangon. At the time, we can freely go to Yangon with our national registration card. I went there, then we formed a political party, National Democratic Party for Human Rights. Then I was the vice president of that party. So in 1990 election was approached, then I stand for parliament member from our township, Sitwe, Yakhan State. Sitwe is the capital of Yakhan State. So then Western Commander is now not agree for that. So he ordered to investigate who can win this election.
In the meanwhile, you're not in prison, you're out.
I was out.
So you were in prison 2 years,
2 years.
and then you came out during this
The
political
case was
upheaval.
pending.
It was still pending.
But this state government also released an order to release all the political prisoners. But at that time, Western Commander investigated my personal purpose, and he ordered to arrest me again, to pull up the case from the township court and send up to
So this is when? This
in
is
1989.
So you were in prison 2 years,
2 years.
you came out,
Came out.
and then you went again.
No, then they arrest me again. They pull out the case from the township court and send up it to court martial.
Okay.
At the time, the army is also in power for the country. So they set up my case in court martial. Court martial trial for 1 hour and then ordered me for 14 years.
14.
14.
And how many of those years did you serve?
And then in 1999, there was an amnesty order that if a person getting severe punishment above 10 years, so he should be suffered only 10 years. So 4 years was gone. And then another 2 cases was sent up to the township court. One is section 24 criminal code. It is that I am escaping from the prison.
What was the first crime? The very first time you went to prison, what was your crime?
First crime is for the farmers, Rohingya farmers. The government noticed them, sent notice them that they will confiscate all the farming land from them. Nearly 400, 500 houses there.
Let me understand. The government sent to farmers that they would confiscate farmers' lands.
Yes.
500 farmers.
Yes. And then the farmers came to me, they went to some other lawyers, but no one wanted to handle this case against the government.
No kidding.
So at last they came to me, I accepted it. I take power from the various elders, 10 farmers, and then I wrote a petition to General Mengling because at that time he was the chairman of the Myanmar Socialist Party.
Was the case ever heard, or simply because you sent
No,
a petition?
only for requesting letter to release me.
The farmers' lands.
So
That was your crime.
yes,
And so you sat 2 years, you came out, you went back, you were released because you had served 10 years already. How old were your children then?
they are very young. The oldest one is 20, and one of my daughter, she was graduated from the City University, and at that time, after I married, I was arrested. Then she was, at that time, when I was in prison, she got the brain tumor. So she tried to go to Yangon for treatment.
The capital.
She has a national registration card, but she cannot travel. She cannot travel, and the government didn't allow her to go to Yangon. She has to die in 1994 or 5 there in City.
Because she could not seek treatment.
Yes.
There are 1 million Rohingya in Burma, is that right? About 1 million?
Nearly 1.2 million.
1.2 million. And today, there are already about 700,000 of them who are displaced.
Yes.
They're displaced or they're out of the country completely?
No, some are also out of the country completely, and only, I think all together in the country, maybe 4 to 500,000 Rohingya some other townships, there are Rohingyas also.
They're majority Rohingya
No, minorities
in those towns.
in those towns. In Sitwe, maybe.
Sitwe is the city we saw.
Sitwe, yes, Sitwe is the kind of state city. There must be 1,500.
So, of the 1.2 million, about 700,000 have been displaced. Some are still in Burma,
Yes.
and some are out of the country.
Yeah.
And most of those who are out of the country are in Bangladesh.
Yes.
Oh, I should say, because I checked my map. So this is a country with these neighbors: China, India, Thailand, Laos. China, India, Thailand, Laos, Bangladesh.
Yeah.
Why is it most of the refugees end up in Bangladesh instead of the bigger,
No, it is
slightly
easy
more?
to cross the river.
Uh-huh.
It is easy to cross the river, the Bay of Bengal, and also the river to Bangladesh, so that they choose the easiest way.
And is it fair to say Bangladesh is maybe the poorest of these four countries?
Yeah.
So of all of the neighbors, most of the Rohingya end up in the next poorest country. Yeah, Bangladesh is poorer than
Yes,
India,
poorest
China,
country,
Laos,
yes.
Thailand.
Yes, the poorest country and also populated
Huge.
huge populated country.
And are they welcome there?
But how can they do? But Sheikh Hasina is also appealing to the
Sheikh Hasina is the Prime Minister of
Prime Minister
Bangladesh.
is appealing to the international to take all this because she is facing difficulties for these people.
But except for the economic issues, is there ethnic or religious persecution in Bangladesh? Are the difficulties economic only?
Yeah, they are.
Mostly.
Yeah, mostly.
Okay, it is very difficult to understand when you're not living the experience. Huh? In Burma altogether there are 4 or 5 million Muslims or less?
Maybe 4 million
Muslims.
across all Myanmar.
Yes.
region.
There are Indian Muslims, there are Malay Muslims, there are 5, 6 different
Yes.
backgrounds. Why is it the Rohingya who are being subjected to discrimination?
They are being that they are asking for citizenship first.
Do the others have citizenship?
I can translate my this reporting card, national registration card, in 1990 election. But up to we can vote and we can elect up to 2010 election. In 2015, also NLD kick out all the Muslims from their party. And no one can vote. Also, mostly in Japan state, no one can vote. No one can vote there.
I show up to vote. What do they do to me? Why can't I vote?
They rejected.
They reject me.
Yeah.
They send me away.
Yeah. And they didn't announce it in voters list.
How do they know I'm a Rohingya? How do they know to reject me?
No, they have to mention there. They collect the data that which religion you are taking.
So my name and my religion.
Yeah.
And so if my religion is Muslim, I'm Rohingya. If my religion is Muslim and I'm Indian,
That's also religion.
and is this by law or because they can?
They can. Not by law.
When you say you don't have citizenship,
No, I'm the citizen of Myanmar, but this for 1982 citizenship law. We have to apply there. We already applied in 1989 for this citizenship. They issue, in our form, we filled up that we are Rohingya and Islam. But after June, they already ready to issue all these scrutiny back to Rohingya people. At the time, Kenya was in power. Then Kenya stopped all these things.
The Rohingya have been in Myanmar or Burma for how many centuries?
Which is more than 10 centuries since then. When the Yakhan king was dominating the Yakhan state, at that time, Rohingyas, Yakhan also invite these people to attack the Burmese king. Because Burmese king...
This is 10 centuries ago.
Yeah.
Okay. So the Rohingya people have been living in Burma for centuries. And before 1982, before citizenship was taken, were they considered equal citizens?
Yeah.
When you were a child, was everything okay?
No, everything okay. When I was also serving in the state court, it is okay, no discrimination. Also, I can get a promotion in my job. And some also in so many departments, also judges and police officers, in administrative officers, in land record offices, medical doctors. Even my cousin is medical doctor in civil hospital. His uncle. Also now he's still alive. Now he lives in Myanmar. He retired from his job.
So on the one hand, the Rohingya are integrated into Burmese society.
Yeah.
On the other hand, they don't have political rights.
Yes.
Does that sound familiar? I mean, I tell you, I think I'm looking into a mirror. It's fascinating.
Yes. It is like mirror.
Yeah.
Because I can expose my feeling that to you.
I think that what Aurora offers peoples like ours is an amazing opportunity to truly experience the commonality of suffering, of discrimination, of the search for justice. I really do. It sounds like a speech, I know. I don't mean it like a speech. I mean this. That this is an opportunity to look at someone whom I've never met, in a country I've never seen, I know nothing about, and he's telling me my story. He's telling me my grandmother's story. It's fascinating.
In 2012, they set fire all Muslim villages. But
they set fire in all the villages.
Yakhan Ismailis also set fire all.
Which extremists?
Yakhan.
Yakhan.
Buddhists.
Oh, the Buddhists.
Buddhists.
Okay,
Also
but
including
extremists.
monks.
Including monks.
Also, and set fire all the villages. It was in 11th of June today. Today 11th?
Yes.
6 years, exactly 6 years. June 2012. They came to set fire our quarter. Our quarter is midst of the town. So surrounding all the kind Buddhist houses. But they cannot set fire for to be, it can be also burn there some Yakhan houses. So they destroy our houses, 46 houses totally, and mosque was also destroyed. And on that day, police arrest me again. At that time,
What were you doing?
Nothing. I'm afraid, and I'm also sitting. So the authority called all Muslims to get out from their own house. Then all people get out from their own house and gather in mosque compound. Our mosque compound is very big now. So we nearly 300-400 people, children including, and sick person, old person are also gathered there. At 3 p.m., police came and also called me to go somewhere. So they took me to a police home minister, I think assistant home minister or someone. Then he ordered them to arrest me. So they took me again to my house for a search. But at that time, all my library was totally destroyed. All my properties were all destroyed. Then they put a letter in my cupboard under a book and said that we got the proof that he is also communicating with Al-Qaeda and sent up the case next day to the court. So they took me to send me to the prison. I don't know why who was my daughter where. And then this was tried so many times. I have not only proper clothes. Because we are, at that time, we cannot take proper clothes because so many people are attacking us.
Buddhist extremists attack, burn houses. People are now homeless.
Yes.
You're arrested.
Yeah.
Other people are also arrested?
Yeah. No, only one in Mongol.
Another region.
In Mongol, another region. And at that time, I was the administrator of medicine center in Poland. So our country manager in Myanmar, Mr. Peter Hall and Vicky Victoria Hawkins, they applied to President Tenzin to release me because I am innocent of this case. So
all of this is before Aung San Suu Kyi came to office, is that right?
yeah.
Has anything improved since then?
No.
Is it significantly worse or is it the same?
No, it is getting worse and worse.
And what is the explanation of, let me back up. I think that anyone who has worked in government or knows how government works understands that it's one thing what you say on the street and it's another thing when you're in office and try to make policy. Armenia is going to be living that now. We are hoping to work so that what our leaders said on the street is also what will happen in government. And part of that responsibility is ours. In this case, was it that it's one thing when she was on the street or under arrest, and now in government she can't? What is the situation? This is a human rights Nobel laureate. Huh?
I cannot say that what is in their mind, in her mind, and I don't know whether she is afraid of the military or someone or something. I cannot say.
Who in Burma, please also tell us Burma, Myanmar. It used to be called Burma for centuries.
Yes.
And then the military junta decided to call it Myanmar?
Yes.
Why?
Military is now, there the constitution, it was drawn by the army, but I think Aung San Suu Kyi cannot overcome this constitution.
So is what is being done to your people legitimized by the Constitution? Does the Constitution say?
The Constitution didn't mention there any about this, but they are doing out of the law to us.
Can I ask that everybody look at their telephone and turn them off? Thank you. So what is being done to you is extra legal. It is not legally okay to discriminate.
Not legally.
It is politically okay.
Politically discriminate us.
What do you want the Aurora Prize to do for you? Now that you have it, what do you think you can do that you couldn't do before?
So I am doing for my people legally. I cannot do anything beyond the law. Our people is getting poor and illiterate. So I'm trying to give them education, their children, so that they can know about who is he, from where he was.
Of everything you have to solve, you have chosen to work on education.
Yes.
Because you're saying these children are now illiterate.
Yes. Education is the first priority
Why?
in my mind.
Why?
Because without education, our people can die 500 to 1,000 a year lack of healthcare. But this community will die within 10 years. It can disappear. The government can allege them that they are educated, they are illegal immigrants from Bangladesh.
And if they're educated, if your people are educated, what happens? How does that change?
They can know that they are the citizen of this country. They can argue for their rights.
So again, now with the title of Aurora Prize Laureate, what will you do? How will you promote education among the Rohingya?
So, yes, I am trying to educate the people, to organize the parents to send their children to school, and also our children, matriculated children cannot join the university now.
Cannot.
6 years, up to 2012 to today. So they cannot join. This year, also 33 candidates matriculated. Last year, 36 candidates matriculated. They cannot join. We also approached to the government. If City University did accept them, let them go to other university in Burma, inside Burma, to study, but the government didn't accept it.
How does the prize make your job easier? Does it make your job easier?
But with this price,
Yes.
I am trying to educate them for healthcare, and some area they are very poor, and sometimes they cannot get rice easily. So we are distributing rice, asking our colleagues in Jammu to send some money as we guide it. And there are two kinds of refugees. One kind is IDPs. One kind is registered IDPs. Another kind is unregistered. In downtown, there is a quarter, 2-3 quarters also this combined. It was surrounded by a kind. They cannot go out anywhere. So that they have to beg from other countries for this rice and donation.
So you know that the word, anybody who is for some reason pushed out of their home or leaves their home because they can't stay for economic or political or religious reasons is called a displaced person. If you leave your country, you're a refugee. If you stay in your country, you're an internally displaced person. You're an IDP. IDPs are of two kinds. Those who are, he's an IDP. He's displaced in his own country. And you're either registered with the government or you're not. Now, if you're saying that in this region, even though you live there and you're in your own country, you can't leave that space. So it's like an open-air prison.
Yeah, open-air prison.
So for
It's
help,
very difficult to come here for me. I asked for invitation letter from ORORA, so they sent it. So I attached this invitation and I applied for my travel permit.
and it worked.
And so that it takes 20 days to get it.
When you go back, will you be in trouble?
I cannot say, but I have to assure that I will be back within 45 days. They mentioned there in the forms. Also, two surety says to sign there that he will come back. And the hotel in Yangon also accepted that he will come. We will grant him for 45 days and he will go back after within 45 days.
The Aurora Prize is $100,000 to the laureate and $1 million to be distributed to organizations that you think are doing good work.
Yeah.
What are those organizations?
Médecins Sans Frontières,
Doctors
UK.
Without Borders,
Doctors Without Borders, UK.
UK.
I work for Holland.
You work for Doctors Without Borders in Holland?
Holland.
Holland, okay.
The institute. But UK, MSF UK is working in Bangladesh, refugee camp for these children and for this person. And Mercy is working in Malaysia and in Sikkim.
Mercy?
Mercy in Malaysia and in Sikkim nearby there is a hospital. Also, they are also doing their good job.
Mercy is a Catholic organization.
Mercy, I don't know that this is Malaysia.
No, it's a Malaysian organization.
Yeah. And ICMC is also working in Malaysia and abroad for these migrant people.
ICMC is the Catholic organization.
ICMC is also working in Malaysia.
So the $1 million Aurora fund will go to these three organizations.
I recommend 40% for MSF UK and 30% for the other.
Okay, so one more irony, and then we'll open this to questions if you have questions for Mr. Ong. So the irony is, the Armenian people, through the Aurora Foundation, have chosen a Muslim laureate as the Aurora Prize laureate for this year, who in turn has chosen, among others, a Catholic organization to support the refugees. If this doesn't say something about common humanity, I don't know what will. Thank you. Do we have traveling microphones? Yeah? One there, show me, and one there. Okay. If you have questions, first of all, I need to see you. Would you raise your hands if you have questions so I can figure out how to do this? Okay, until you figure it out, I'm going to ask Bo, Mr. Ong's son, a question. So if you would give Bo the microphone, please. And Bo, if you would stand up and face the audience when you answer the question. It's a very simple question. You are your father's son, and you live in Thailand, where you also do human rights work. And your father has already been in and out of prison, and he may be in and out of prison again. And that sounds so easy when I say it, right? You know, you may go to the park tomorrow. He may be in and out of prison again, and yet you do the job you do. Tell us how it feels to be your father's son, to be your own human rights advocate. And slowly, please, so that the interpreter catches up with you.
Thailand was a democratic country for a long time. They had the rule of law. So Myanmar was under the control of dictatorship for a long time. So in Thailand, now currently they have a military government. Even though they are military government, they have the rule of law. Thai people, they respect each other. They don't have discrimination based on religion and race. Even though they have some problem in southern Thailand between the Muslim and Thai people, that is the other issue. So for the work of human rights and for political works, it is very easy to do in Thailand if you do not, if anyone does not affect or do getting back for Thai people. I mean, if I don't take Thai people, they respect us, there is no problem. But in Myanmar, there are many groups, especially the different groups. Most of the uneducated people are in Myanmar. The people have a jealousy to each other, even among the Muslims, and among the Rakhine Buddhists, and also the others. So they are jealous of each other. That is why they always have hatred in their mind. I mean, most of the people. There are also many good people in Myanmar. When we compare, like we have to compare with percentage. So in Thailand, most of the people are good. Maybe there are some corrupt officers. That is a different issue. So that is why, even though I work very hard in Thailand for anti-human trafficking, to protect me, Thai military and also intelligence officers, the police and immigration, they protect.
Thank you. There's a question right here. Thank you.
Mr. Laon, you say that you will give an opportunity of education to Rohingya people. If Myanmar government won't let you to give them, what will your future steps will be?
Thank you.
First, in 2012, we can open all the schools in Rohingya area, IDPs and Rohingya area. In 2013, I was again arrested. So the police officer is very bad. So he tried to arrest me in so many cases, but I am avoiding all these things. I doesn't want to exile from my land. At that time, he tried to be exiled.
To exile you.
But I didn't. So he arrested me again and also sent me.
So if you left the country, they would be happy.
Yeah, happy.
But you're not going.
Oh,
There you go. Is there a question there? Can you get right up there to that young lady?
no, you say the question. Not to answer.
You didn't answer. Okay, we'll let you.
I will
Okay.
tell you. So then we opened all the schools and we appointed teachers there. Then after this 2013, I was arrested. Our education committee was very afraid and it disappeared. And the educated teachers are also joined NGOs because NGOs can give salary, high salary, so that there is no education there. So after my release again in 2014, I started again for elderly education. I print some books in Yangon. Some of my colleagues and we discussed, and also we are giving elderly education. During this period, also Mondo, there is a 25th August in 2013, it is happening again in Mondo. So we can gather these people for education because police is always blaming our people that they gather for education. So we have to start again.
So what he's saying is if when they close a window, he's going to find a door. And when they close the door, he's going to find a window. Make Muslim. Yes.
Mr. Ram, thank you for being here. Your presence is very inspiring for us. I have a question considering Aung San Suu Kyi. We all know her as a human rights, as a person who fought for human rights for many years. And I wanted to ask you or any member of your community, have you ever tried to reach her or to negotiate with her, considering the situation with the Rohingya people?
Thank you.
I attend 2-3 times meeting in Rakhine State government with the minister, Rakhine State Minister 彬彬, and also border minister So we approached them for all these things to educate our matriculated students to university. Otherwise, if they cannot provide that, they cannot agree for City University to send them to some other university on our side. But they didn't give any answer. I told also I approached for them to them for this. Some our Muslim people cannot draw their salary, their pension after this conflict in Choctaw Township.
What does that mean? They cannot draw their pension?
The township authority didn't give them this opportunity to draw, and also they cannot draw from their bank account. So they called me and also set the names of this list. So I approached to this minister and border minister, but at last I also approached to UN then they discuss, and also they order to give them their bank from their bank account and the pension salary.
Are there other legal advocates for the Rohingya within Myanmar?
No. Everybody is very afraid in Yangon, but they didn't.
Yangon is the capital,
Yeah.
but not in the areas where
No,
Rohingya
not in the area. No one can travel there. No one can travel from Yangon to Situ to help us to see our condition.
don't even know what to say. The microphone there, please.
I would like to say another thing. Some of medical doctors in 2012, Muslim medical doctors from Taunji, Mandalay, and so on, a group of medical doctors were also sent by our community in Yangon to Situ to treat our community. But the authorities disturbed them very much, so they doesn't want to give more and also go to their.
Traveling from Yangon to Sittwe is how many hours by car?
No.
Huh? Yes, you can. Mr. Pei is the interpreter.
Oh, yeah, no, yes.
Okay.
So, yes, I cannot meet with Aung San Suu Kyi, but I told this Yakai Minister OVIGH, if you need for any purpose, you can communicate. Also, Turkish ambassador,
The Turkish ambassador.
Turkish ambassador, he met with Aung San Suu Kyi. Aung San Suu Kyi asked him that who is the eligible person to discuss about the candidate. He told my name. It is very confidential. He told me. He visited them. He never told me.
The ironies of history, please.
Mr. Ong, firstly, your incredible work is very inspiring. And my question is, what is your country's other ethnic groups, especially the Muslims, attitude towards you and what happens to your people? And is there some kind of unity within the Muslim groups and within the country's other groups in general? Thank you.
Please take the microphone back so it'll be faster.
Ask again.
The question is there solidarity with other Muslims in Myanmar?
No.
Why?
But they are also from Myanmar side. They afraid they cannot come to us. They are afraid, but some donations. Sometimes they send some donations for this refugees. So we distribute them also.
So within Myanmar, there are other Muslims.
Yes.
They live in other places.
Yes.
And for them to travel to Sittwe, to Rakhine province, is very difficult
Very difficult.
or impossible.
Impossible, and also, even though the donation to keep secret, they told me,
They told you that they would make a donation,
but not to do.
not to talk about it.
Yeah. So
We just talked about it, you know that. Now that's two secrets you told us. Don't tell anyone, okay?
during this Ramzan, we distribute so many rice to very poor areas. So I have some my colleagues also. I cannot go there so to buy and distribute. And the road is very bad and very bad road. They didn't prepare. They take from Turkey. They asked me to construct a hospital. I told him that if you give hospital, you should give medical doctor and nurse. If you give school, you should rent teachers from Yangon and send them. Otherwise, you
Don't give me a building.
Yes. And then he asked me, how many miles we have to repair the construct the road? I told him that, expecting that 16. He gives some donation to the, but directly he cannot give.
This is the Republic of Turkey?
Yes, he gave it to a Prime Minister. Then they spend only some repair and also they use all in a kind way.
We wouldn't know how that
It
goes.
is correct thing I am telling you. And another thing, if a patient, Red Cross took the patient in their car to hospital, halfway, police asked for money from the patient.
From the patient,
Patient
not from the
and-
Red Cross.
Not from the Red Cross. So that the police,
Would
there
they
is
ask
a patient care, also they have to give. In hospital, Muslims are also kept in separate group, males and female together, and no light, nothing. You cannot keep your food there. No food, nothing.
Would the police also ask for money from a non-Rohingya traveler in the Red Cross?
No,
Sorry?
non-Rohingya cannot. They can easily go to hospital. If there is emergency case, referring from this Masi to General Hospital, so Red Cross car has to come and pick up this patient to hospital.
Young man right here, fourth row. No, that's the fifth row.
This is really suffering we are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mr. Ong, having you in rows of our heroes is an honor for us. And my question concerns the identity politics in Myanmar. So I wanted to know, has the group experienced a forced assimilation from the side of the government? Has the government tried to change the Rohingya religion? Has the government tried to make you become Burmese? Or is there a blunt separation and saying you just need to go? Thank you.
Does the government force assimilation? You're not Rohingya, go change your religion, become part of the bigger society. Do they try to make you lose your identity?
Once I went with my all documents to a state immigration officer. It was near before this country was happened. It was maybe 7
One more
years.
question and we'll be done.
7 years. After looking all my documents, he told me that why you didn't convert him to this.
So the answer is, I guess, yes.
Another thing, Buddhists in Bangladesh is the citizen of Bangladesh. In Myanmar is the citizen of Myanmar.
There's dual citizenship.
Yeah, they can cross the border and come, easily come to city. Even we have our identity, we cannot travel to Mongol or to any other township.
You're giving a lot of people a lot of material to read. What happened to the days when we used to do this? Now we're up here. Yes. The young lady right up there. Hombres.
Thank you so much. I feel this question is really important. I visited your country back in 2014, traveled around. Amazing people, I would say. But I also noticed something important. So when I visited the capital city, which is no longer Yangon, I noticed a big highway, but no cars. I was told by some of the hotels that if a government employee visits an area, the Wi-Fi connection suddenly increases. As soon as they leave, it decreases. So in a country like that, that's so controlled by the government, how are you going to ensure that the money actually reaches the people and no government official actually stops it? Especially considering that just I as an individual trying to take money out of the bank was a challenge.
Thank you. If the government is that powerful that they can change situations, increase Wi-Fi speed, lower it. Government official comes, we look good. Government official goes, How do you, one individual, make change in a country if the government is that strong? How do you make change? How will you make change?
I cannot make the change, but we are also, all this information is also given to UN, to international, to the world. So we are expecting the pressure from international and from UN. So otherwise, if I can go to Malaysia, I can go to Australia, I can go to anybody. If no one is there, so who will inform to international? But I cannot do myself. But it is a small thing that I would do there.
Now what can we do? That's your last statement. What can we do? What can we do to help?
You should take information and you should organize the UN and other countries for us.
That ォ๕ža does is bring the world to Armenia, and here is an example of that. Plus, it offers us individually an opportunity to do something. So let's take it. Thank you. Thank you to the Slavonic University and Dr. ΑΒΡΟΡΑ. The recording of this conversation and everything else that has happened this long, glorious weekend is all up on the ォ๕ža site. Watch it, tweet it, Facebook it, share it. Let's get this conversation out there. We're not alone in the world. We've got work to do. Thank you.
Cover.